The Sky News presenter put Housing Secretary Robert Jenrick on the spot after Number 10 confirmed Boris Johnson would not self-isolate despite being pinged by the NHS Test and Trace app. Britons have long been required to stay in isolation for at least 10 days after coming into contact with someone who tested positive for the coronavirus. The Prime Minister is known to have held meetings with Chancellor Rishi Sunak and Health Secretary Sajid Javid on Friday, the day before Mr. Javid announced he had COVID-19. Mr. Phillips told the Housing Secretary, "Can I just ask you this? We just got a statement a few minutes ago about the Prime Minister's situation. It says the Prime Minister and the Chancellor will be participating in the daily contact testing pilot to allow him to continue work from Downing Street." When the Prime Minister talked about Freedom Day, did he just mean freedom for him and the Chancellor, and other cabinet colleagues and not for the millions who are supposed to go to work but won't be having access to that pilot? Mr. Jenrick insisted the pilot scheme is already available to other organizations and is not limited to Number 10 workers. He said, "You're right to say the Prime Minister and the Chancellor were contacted by NHS Track and Trace overnight, which shows the system is working. They're going to take part in a daily system pilot which is available to a range of organizations, not just politicians. It is correct that the Cabinet Office and Downing Street are part of the pilot. I am not aware that other government departments are. It means that you can be tested every day in specialist asymptomatic testing centers such as the one that has been set up in Downing Street." He added, "It means that the Chancellor and the Prime Minister will be able to conduct the most essential government meetings, but the rest of their time will have to be spent isolating and not meeting up with family or friends or socializing. So it is relatively restrictive. I entirely appreciate that this isn't available yet to wider members of the public and the frustration that they might feel listening to this. Other members of the public who are pinged will have to self-isolate in the usual way, and that is a really important part of our plan to keep COVID under control." A Number 10 spokesman said, "They will be conducting only essential government business during this period. There will be relief in Downing Street that Mr. Johnson will not be confined to home on so-called Freedom Day on Monday when most statutory lockdown restrictions end in England." However, the disclosure that the Prime Minister and Chancellor have avoided the requirement to quarantine is likely to anger thousands of people being forced to miss work after being pinged by the NHS COVID app. Businesses have been pressing for the app to be overhauled and made less sensitive amid concerns that staff shortages mean they cannot operate effectively. London Underground became the latest to succumb on Saturday when the Metropolitan line was forced to close because of a lack of control room staff. While most COVID restrictions lift in England on Monday, the rules on self-isolating for contacts of people who test positive are not eased until August 16. Then people who are double jabbed will be able to take tests rather than quarantine at home.